Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure this is my 13th video of the day, which sounds super crazy, but hey, it's draft day. We got the most content ever, so might as well crank it out there and hopefully expand the channel a little bit. So like and subscribe if you enjoy these basketball content because it's going to be coming in bursts. We've got tons of news coming up with free agency, tons of news coming up with more trades happening. And I'm going to be analyzing the draft for every single team, and we've done 12 so far, so we have 18 to go. So, the New Orleans Pelicans drafted Kira Lewis, point guard from Alabama. Fastest player in the draft, got some solid skill, good playmaker, good ball handler. Like I said, super fast, super good in transition, and has a really good three-point shot as well, so he can space the floor for this team, which is important when you have guys like Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, that are going to manufacture some open looks for their teammates. He's also a really good passer, and like I said before, beast in transition. I think he can play alongside Lonzo Ball because those two have some games that actually go well together, and they synergize well, so I think that that's a solid backcourt for the future for them. And look out because this team is going to be unholy in the fast break. You've got Zion obviously throwing down lobs left and right. Brandon Ingram is super good in transition as well, just as a super freakish athlete type guy. Kira Lewis is insanely fast. LaMelo Ball is one of the best outlet passers in the entire NBA. He's also a great lob passer. Ooh, this group is going to be fun. You adding Jackson Hayes, who's another guy that's a solid finisher and also is a good rim protector, so can get some pretty big blocks that might allow them to trigger that transition offense, and you get excited. Obviously, there's a logjam at the point guard spot now, and really in the backcourt rotation in general. Lonzo Ball was a first-round pick a couple years ago with the Lakers, one of the main pieces that came over in the Anthony Davis trade, and for that reason, I'm pretty sure the Pelicans will prioritize hanging on to him, and I think he's likely to get an extension this coming offseason, something along the lines of 5 years. Well, I guess they can give him 5 years since they have the bird rights. So 5 years, $100 million, or 4 years, $84 million, something like that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that Lonzo is a pretty underrated player in terms of his value. He showed that he can be a really solid guard. Shot the ball much better from three this year, continued to improve his passing. He wasn't great in the half court, but in transition, he's one of the better players in the NBA, especially playmakers. He's a solid rebounding guard. He's good defensively. So I think that he'll likely get that extension. Lewis, like I said, super quick, can probably play the one. I don't think that he's much of a two because he's so thin in terms of his frame that I don't think he'll be able to guard some of the bigger twos in the NBA. So that limits that a little bit. Lonzo, however, is super versatile defensively. He's a bigger guy. He's really strong, and I think he can guard pretty much 1 through 3. So that allows Lewis and Ball to be on the court at the same time, which is really nice for the Pelicans. However, they still have 2 more point guards in George Hill and Eric Bledsoe. And I'm really not sure if those two will be on the roster when the season comes, but if I were a betting man, I would say likely one of the two will be. I think Hill is a better fit for the roster since he can shoot the 3 ball really well and also be a nice secondary playmaker whenever he's on the court. Also is a decent defender, although he's not quite at Bledsoe's level. Bledsoe does have some overlap with the better players on this team as he likes to get to the cup. He settles for some invigorating pull-up three-pointers that are never really worth it seems. And he also just really overall struggles to create shots for himself when he's not able to get to the rim and they wall him off and prevent that from happening. So that's the downside of Eric Bledsoe, but there also is the upside of his terrific defense at the point of attack. He's one of the better players at contesting mid-range jumpers from opposing guards. And he's, like I said, super good at that point of attack defense. He's also a decent playmaker, but definitely not at the same level as someone like Lonzo Ball or George Hill. At the two guard position, you have J.J. Redick and Nickeil Alexander-Walker at this point are really the primary two guards. Redick is obviously a floor spacer, can shoot the lights out, does his job on defense, and has a high basketball IQ that allows him to make up for a bit of his lackluster athleticism on that end of the floor. Nickeil Alexander-Walker had a bit of a disappointing rookie season, but there is still potential there as a combo guard that can be a really solid option for your team. If he can continue to improve, he's got to hit his jump shot better, and he also needs to figure out how he can create some separation in the half-court offense. But if he can accomplish those two tasks while also improving on defense, this guy could be a starter long-term in the NBA. At the wing positions, you have Josh Hart, who's really a defensive specialist at this point, kind of a 3-and-D type guy. Darius Miller, same, but he has a non-guaranteed contract that is going to cost the Pelicans $7 million if they opt into it. So I think that they probably do not guarantee that and let him walk, decline his option there. Zion, obviously, freakish athlete, great in transition, beast in the half court. Has to figure out his conditioning and improve on defense, but if he can do that, he's one of the higher upside players in the entire league. Nicolo Melli is a solid role player who can space the floor on offense and make some good decisions defensively. Just a really solid role player who is going to do what you need him to do. At the big man position, Jackson Hayes is the only guy that's under contract for next year, and I think that in free agency they're likely going to have to target a big man because I'm not sure that Hayes is quite ready to start at the center position yet. Derek Favors was the starting center for this team this past year, and I think they could look to bring him back. There's questions about his fit with Zion, as they do both overlap as paint-oriented guys on the offensive end, and on the defensive end, Derek Favors, however, does do a nice job covering up for Zion's areas that he's lacking in, I guess you could say. Zion does struggle, and Derek Favors is a good defensive center who can protect the rim well for you. So for that reason, he's a solid fit alongside Zion. And I really like Derek Favors. I think he's one of the more underrated free agents in this upcoming class. And if you can sign him to be a stopgap center up until Jackson Hayes is ready, and then when Hayes is ready to take over as the starting center, Favors can slide to the bench and be one of the better backup centers in the NBA. I think that's a valuable skill set. And he's a guy that I would be looking to bring back. I think he probably gets something close to the mid-level. Other alternative options for them, I don't think that Christian Wood is in the running here because they don't quite have the cap to bring him in, considering the amount that they're going to have to pay Brandon Ingram once he comes back on what I'm assuming to be a max contract extension. Ingram is obviously a lethal offensive player, has terrific game in the mid-range, can knock down some three-pointers, and is getting better at getting to the rim. If his shot continues to improve, and especially his defense continues to get better, well, he also starts to make better decisions and creates more shots for his teammates. Ingram has potential to be a top 15 or top 20 player in the league, and that's really why the Pelicans are focused on this rebuild around him and Zion Williamson. If he can hit his ceiling, that's really huge for this team, and they're going to be looking for him to continue to improve. Some other outgoing free agents they have are Etuan Moore, a shooting specialist that they could keep around if they are looking to continue to improve their floor spacing, but I think that Moore likely receives a decent offer sheet from a team that's looking to contend. I think my Milwaukee Bucks could use a guy like that who can really shoot. So I think it's unlikely that he returns just because he could go to a championship team and look to compete for a title in this upcoming season. There, Frank Jackson was a solid backup point guard. Well, not really. He was kind of a below-average backup point guard, but he got the job done. Now that they have 4 million point guards on their roster, though, I think that he'll probably be an odd man out and they'll let him walk. Not even sure if they gave him the qualifying offer heading into his free agency this year. Kenrich Williams was a really interesting player for this team, and if they can get him back for cheap, pretty much on the qualifying offer, then it would be a really nice deal because I think that there is a chance that he develops into a solid NBA rotation guy They are a little stacked at the power forward position with Zion Williamson and Nicolo Melli already taking up those spots, but Williams has shown that he is a good defensive player who can finish on offense, and if he gets a jump shot, there's a shot with this guy that he can really blossom and become a good player for you. So if they can bring him back for cheap, I think that would be something the Pelicans would like to do. Last guy's Sindarius Thornwell. Not much going on here. So really, I think that they have a solid core in place. They've got Lonzo Ball, Kira Lewis, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson. And I guess Jackson Hayes could be thrown into that group as the guys they're looking to build around moving forward. That's one of the better young cores in the entire NBA, and the Pelicans have a super bright future. Lewis just adds to that, and I think that he's a perfect fit with Lonzo Ball in the backcourt. So I think that this is a really solid pick for the Pelicans. I don't think he was the best player available. That would probably have gone to someone like Sadiq Bey or Aaron Nesmith, in my opinion, and they actually might have been a better fit with this team to provide some shooting help on the wing. But Lewis is also a solid fit, and I certainly can't be mad at the Pelicans for making this selection. In the end, I think that this team looks like they're probably not going to make the playoffs next year, but they certainly are going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, one of the better transition teams in the NBA. And overall, if they're able to make a stride on the defensive end, I think that they could get back to a similar spot that they were in this year as the 10 or 11 seed in the Western Conference in a 72-game season. Well, I think my win total prediction for them would probably be 34-48 if it were a regular year. So I will say 30-42 is my win total prediction for the Pelicans in this COVID-shortened year, but we haven't even seen free agency. It's hard to make too many predictions, and there's a chance that this team could really get better in the free agency period, depending on whether or not they make win-now moves. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of this pick. Was Kira Lewis the right guy for the Pelicans? I think he was. I think this was the right pick for them. Outside of that, I don't think that there's much left for me to say. This team's going to be fun in transition, and they've got work to do on defense. I think that's it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.